What up? Hey friends, Ash here. How's it going? Welcome back to Gents. Dolce Gabbana's been getting busy this year, like really busy. The last few years, they kind of sandbagged us. They didn't really do too much. Completely forgot about the one. They were just hitting us with K flankers that nobody asked for. But they just dropped this right here, the new Dolce Gabbana Light Blue Eau de Parfum. Ah, wow. Now recently they did this, the new version of the Eau de Toilette with the new presentation, new formulation and everything. But obviously they're trying to build out this line right here. So the EDP, you know what that means in the future? Probably gonna get the Parfum and, dare I say it, the elixir. Yeah, probably. And also, apparently, they're coming out with another new light blue fragrance, which is gonna be a new limited edition summer one. I saw it on Instagram for like 2 seconds. Don't know the name yet, but essentially it looked like this, Capri in Love, except green. So we'll see when that comes out. But for now, don't need to worry about this, need to worry about that. I have it linked in the description. It popped up at Macy's, which is where I bought my bottle. Let's take a look at the presentation, and then I'll let you guys know how this one smells and whether or not it's gonna be a future summer classic, or like a current summer classic, because it's already out. Le box. So this is a fuzzy box. Yeah, pause. And I gotta say, I kinda hate the fuzzy bottles, the fuzzy boxes, but you know, I've talked about that too much in the past. It just feels weird, man. It should be cardboard. It shouldn't be hairy. On the front, you get the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, and concentration. As I said, it's an Eau de Parfum 100 ml size. Got the little DG up top, nothing on the sides. On the back, your ingredient information, as well as your note breakdown. And it is a very simple note breakdown. Yellow mandarin off the top, seawater and cypress in the mid, cedarwood in the base. On the bottom, your badge code, your barcode, all that good info. My badge code is C30902. Now the bottle. It's in that new light blue design. This one is see-through rather than the frosted look that the Eau de Toilette has. Also, this one has gold accents instead of silver, just to let you know that it's a little higher end than that measly peasant fragrance, the EDT. Where do they go from here though? Like, what's the Parfum get? Ooh, maybe black accents. That could be cool. But yeah, on the front there, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. Up top, the DG. On the bottom, you have a sticker with your badge code. The cap does click into place. And also, one thing that I've noticed Dolce & Gabbana has started doing with their new fragrances, this itty bitty tiny little card, which is inside each box, which is kind of a nice touch. It says, "Thank you for choosing Dolce & Gabbana. This fragrance has been created in Italy using only the highest quality raw materials, selected according to the fine fragrance criteria." What is the fine fragrance criteria? I don't know. I don't think that's actually established, but that's what it's selected according to. The craftsmanship and attention to detail inherent in the Dolce & Gabbana DNA make each product a unique and memorable experience. And I feel like this is just part of the overall attempt at getting Dolce & Gabbana back out there, because like I said, the last few years, they've not really done a whole heck of a lot, and they haven't been competing as well as I feel like they probably want to with a lot of the other big brands as far as the sales numbers go. So now they've come back full force, a new The One Eau de Parfum, a new The One Parfum, a new redesign of the Eau de Toilette version of Light Blue, a new Eau de Parfum of Light Blue, another new Light Blue Summer Flanker, a new K Flanker, just a whole mess load of stuff coming out pretty much back to back to back. So we'll see how that works out, but I like the tiny little card. And let's go ahead and share a couple sprays really quickly from the Eau de Parfum here. Nice atomizer. It's got a nice feel to it, definitely better than the old light blue atomizers. And I guess let's go ahead and spray the new version of the Eau de Toilette as well. There we go. And I should mention, if you still want the old version of the EDT, you can still find it at discounters, but you're gonna wanna check that bottle shape and style. So here they are side by side, pretty easy to tell which is which. This is the new one, this is the old one. Just because as that old one sells out, it's gonna go away forever. And then if you're looking for light blue, the only thing you're gonna be able to find is this, unless you're shopping like eBay and paying jacked up prices. All right, so the new light blue, the Eau de Parfum, it opens up more citrus forward compared to the Eau de Toilette, and they come across in a very different way. So the Eau de Parfum off the rip is kind of aggressive, the way that that citrus hits. I know it's yellow mandarin, but it kind of comes across more like lemon with some mandarin orange mixed in kind of underneath the lemon. The Eau de Toilette, by comparison, opens up much airier, zingier, more of that like sea spray kind of vibe, you know, a sea salty aquatic. And the Eau de Parfum, the way that the citrus hits is rindier. So it's not going to be as rindy as something like Light Blue Forever. That one is definitely pushed more in that direction, but this one, the EDP, is definitely rindier if you do a side-by-side than the Eau de Toilette. Now it does have a lightly sugared edge to it, so that's gonna smooth things out a little bit. It's gonna soften up that somewhat sour meets fresh meets sweet opening that citrus can sometimes have when it has that bit of rind to it, that bit of like a citrus peel. So if you're the type of person that hates citrus peel or citrus rind in your fragrances at all, the opening to the Eau de Parfum may not be as nice for you. As I said, it's not as aggressive as Light Blue Forever or Light Blue Italian Love. Those ones are definitely further down that path of fresh meets sweet meets sour all put together, but this one does have a little bit of that to it. Now that being said, if you really enjoy citrus in your fragrances, you probably really like the opening. My wife, for example, loves the Eau de Parfum. She says it's way better than the Eau de Toilette because of that citrus. And underneath that citrus, you have an aromatic woodiness that comes in really quickly off the top in the Eau de Parfum. I will say that even though it kind of hits you aggressively when you first spray it on with that yellow mandarin note, that settles in pretty quick. You know, 2 or 3 minutes in, the edge gets taken off. So if you do spray this on and you think initially like, ugh, you know, I'm not sure about that, let it settle. It settles quick. And I've got to say, I actually really like the bite, you know, that little bite that you get from the Eau de Parfum in comparison to the Eau de Toilette. I will say the Eau de Toilette is the safer of the two, at least in the opening anyway, but the more interesting opening probably the Eau de Parfum. And off the top, you can tell right away that the Eau de Parfum is not just taking the Eau de Toilette as it stands and going, let's, you know, just tweak it a tiny bit and just make it slightly deeper and call it an EDP. Because side by side, yeah, they've got a lot of things in common. You know, they've got citrus aspects, aquatic aspects, sea salty aspects, woody undertones, all of that. But they also are doing things in a different way. And smelling them side by side, back to back, you're not gonna get confused about which one is which. Now, as I said, this one is linked in the description below. As of right now, it's just available full retail, but eventually it's gonna pop up at discounters. And when it does, you can use these codes to save yourself some cash flow. All of these codes that you see here across a multitude of different fragrance websites are also in the description. So you can look down there, copy and paste anytime you shop at any of those stores. Save yourself an additional 5 to 10% depending on which store you're looking at. Now, as you head into the mid, the Eau de Parfum smooths out even more. And this is the part, maybe even more so than the opening, that separates the Eau de Parfum out from the Eau de Toilette. You get a clean, musky nuance that settles in the mid that's gonna last into the dry down in the Eau de Parfum. And you get just a faint, like little bit of a slight fizziness in the EDP as well. Kind of sitting among the remaining citrusy aspects from the opening and the aquatics that start to come in the longer it dries down. It just gives it this nice freshness that kind of works in through the fragrance, gives it a little bit of life. It doesn't come across overly sparkly, definitely not sharp. And in comparison, the Eau de Toilette actually has much more of that going on. The Eau de Toilette having more of a drier sort of woodiness when you smell it up close. The Eau de Parfum having a smoother, kind of slightly, ever so slightly sweetened amber woodiness. And when I say amber wood, I don't want you to think really heavy resins. I don't want you to think, you know, the Y fragrances, the way that they use amberwood, nothing like that. More so just that subtle warmth that amberwood can give off, done in a really smooth way. That's how this one comes across, whereas the Eau de Toilette, a little more dry, a little more bracing, a little more almost a minerality that comes through it. You also get a faint aromatic edge to the Eau de Parfum, kind of just working along the outside, the periphery of the fragrance, not really a focal point or anything like that. And that's just gonna help with the freshness that this one has, helps give it a little more depth, makes it a little more interesting. And I've also gotta say, once you hit that mid, the rindy aspects from the citrus, those are gone. They don't last all that long. So this is not one of those fragrances where, you know, if you dislike having a little touch of that, because again, it's not overdosed, the rindiness here, you just get a little bit of it. But if you hate that, like I said, just, you know, hang out for a little bit, it'll go away. And in comparison to the Eau de Toilette through the mid, the Eau de Parfum comes across more grown up, definitely smoother, but still is really fresh and easy wearing and is kind of an aquatic, citrusy, woody fragrance at its heart. And into the dry down, the Eau de Parfum, the Eau de Toilette, they're still continuing on that similar path. The woodiness in the Eau de Parfum is a little bit more supple, I guess, compared to the EDT. It still stays clean, even though it has more density to it compared to the EDT. Once you hit that full dry down, the citrus and the eau de parfum pretty much completely gone. It feels more polished, but less energetic compared to the eau de toilette, and also compared to its own opening and mid. I get a tiny, almost suede-like undertone in the EDP once you hit that full dry down. Obviously leather, not a note on here, though to be fair, they did give us just 4 notes. Unless seawater cypress is 1 note, but I'm pretty sure that's 2. So 4 whole notes. That laziness has got to stop. But that little suede undertone that I get gives it a nice textural balance, and it does help the fragrance feel or smell slightly more dressed up once you hit that full dry down. By comparison, the eau de toilette, even into the dry down, is still more airy in comparison, definitely more of a minerality still cutting through. The eau de toilette also has more of an aromatic green aspect to it that's much clearer than the eau de parfum does. It's a little bit more high-pitched, if you want to call it that, just when you smell it. This one feels a little heavier. This one has more of a zing to it. And even though neither of these are sweet fragrances, in the full dry down, the eau de toilette comes across a little bit sweeter than the eau de parfum, at least for me. Now, in terms of performance, you would probably expect the eau de parfum to just crush the eau de toilette, but in actuality, wearing them side by side, the eau de toilette projects more for me. So off the top, it projects more. In the dry down, it projects more. And a big reason for that is just that lift that the eau de toilette has. It does have that sort of like sea spray aspect, almost like you're getting hit in the face, you know, with a blast of water. It's kind of refreshing. Even into the dry down, it maintains that. The eau de parfum is way smoother, but it also sits closer to the skin. Now the longevity's fine, sticks around, especially for a fresher type scent, but just as far as the overall projection goes, side by side, the eau de toilette is better for me. So if you just really want to dumb it down, the eau de toilette, more ozonic, it's brisker, it's fresher, more minerality, more of that sea salty kind of aquatic vibe coming through. The eau de parfum, more centered on citrus initially, that has a touch of rindiness to it. Then it smooths out quickly, has a slight warmth and a slight sweetness from an amber woody facet as it dries, and maintains a clean, semi-aquatic vibe through into the dry down. In terms of when you'd wear the new one spring through fall, it's that type of scent that's not necessarily dead set, you know, only daytime, only during the summer. I think that the way they've handled the eau de parfum, you could wear it neutral weather, you know, spring and fall just as easily as summertime, daytime, or evening, either one. So let's hit the pros and cons and the overall verdict for the new light blue eau de parfum. First, the pros. It has more depth and it's overall smoother the way that it hits your nose compared to the EDT. The mid and dry down feel mature, relaxed, polished, but still very effortlessly wearable. It has great spring through fall versatility, so you can get a lot of use out of it. And it's a solid alternative to the eau de toilette when you want something in the same family overall, but something that's a little bit more dressed up and smoother. And then the final pro, which is also a con, the opening. That bit of almost citrus peel that you get off the top, it's either going to really work well for you and set this one apart, or it's going to really work terribly for you and set this one apart. But do keep in mind, it is not as divisive as Light Blue Forever's opening, for whatever that's worth. Another con, it is not as airy, salty, or instantly refreshing as the eau de toilette. So if that's what you're looking for, I'd go for this one over that one. Another con, the performance. It's okay, but it's not a standout. And the final con, it's maybe not as immediately attention grabbing as some of the other fragrances that have come out here recently. And as far as Dolce & Gabbana's newest releases, this one is not as good for me as the One Parfum or the One Eau de Parfum reformulation, but I would take this one over the new K Elixir. So on the whole for me, Light Blue Eau de Parfum is a solid release. I like how it smells. I like the opening. It's smooth. It's easy to wear. My wife thinks it smells fantastic. She took this 10 times out of 10 over this. But which one is going to work for you is really dependent on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something middle of summer, high heat, you want something refreshing, brisk, clean, go for the Eau de Toilette. I would take this one over the Eau de Parfum in those situations pretty much every time. But if you want something that's an easy reach that you could rock from spring through fall, something that's nice and smooth with an aquatic vibe from the opening into the dry down, this one is nicely done. So thankfully, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau de Parfum, not a huge letdown. This stuff is solid. If not mind-blowing, still solid. Yeah, it's good. But somehow that does project more. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.